It's time for another episode of The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Sugar Twinkles cereal. Sugar Twinkles. They're made with sugar for energy and a fairy dusting of 8 vitamins and minerals to make it twinkly healthy. Grown-ups and kids alike love Sugar Twinkles. Make it a part of your breakfast.
Ruby here. I don't remember my grandmother, my mother's mother, very well. She died when I was about 7. The one thing I do remember about her is something she said when I was 5. She brought some strawberries for dessert one night. When I saw them, I told her excitedly, because I just found this out myself, that strawberries are the only fruit with the seeds on the outside. She replied, "Well, look at that. You learn something new every day." I took that as an order. Ever since then, I've tried to learn something new, maybe not every day, but at least once a week. Being a private detective makes that pretty easy. I've learned all kinds of things on the job. My friend Roberta has taught me quite a few too. She's a writer for the award-winning radio drama The Case Files of Eddie James. Playing Scrabble with her has added words like quincunx to my vocabulary. Roberta's interests go far beyond English, though. One interest in particular got me a case. There was going to be a lunar eclipse one night, one that was going to be visible in Los Angeles. Neither of us have a very clear view to the sky from our apartments, so Roberta suggested we go up to Griffith Observatory with a picnic and watch from their lawn. The Griffith Observatory, for the uninitiated, is a museum of sorts dedicated to astronomy. It is a big telescope and a planetarium. Harry, my sister and business partner, Harriet Ruby, was at Luce, so Roberta invited her to come with us. We went well before sunset in order to get a good spot. It was a lucky thing we did. By 6, the lawn was almost completely covered with blankets and chairs and picnic baskets. It was a very lucky thing for a couple of latecomers that the space next to us was one of the last empty ones, and not just because of the available real estate.
Poetry, with a double letter score under the P and a triple word score. That's 42.
Harry, I had no idea that you're such a Scrabble whiz. Did you play with Will growing up?
No. I play on a lot of shoots, though, when we have to wait to do a take.
It should be obvious that I haven't played with any but you, Roberta. Look at the dumb words I've come up with. Dumb being one of them.
Luck of the letter draw, Will. There's only so much even I can do with D and B.
More than I could. When is this eclipse spectacle starting? I'm going to run out of ham and Swiss sandwiches before too long.
If you stopped eating for more than 10 minutes at a time, they'd last longer.
Excuse me? Is this spot taken? I know it's a bit tight, but there are only 2 of us.
No, not taken. Help yourself. We can give you a little more room. We're a bit spread out. Scooch, ladies?
Thank you. We were afraid we'd be too late to get a place, but we so wanted to see the eclipse.
It's my fault. I had a work project that couldn't wait. Oliver Ward.
And I'm Marshall Nelson.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Will Ruby. This is my sister Harriet Ruby and our friend Roberta Maxwell.
Oh, nice to meet you all.
The word project intrigues me, Oliver. What kind of work do you do?
I restore antiques and antiquities, mostly for museums, but also for private parties.
And you, Marshall?
I sell real estate. Don't worry, I won't work my spiel on you. I prefer to let people come to me. What do you 3 do?
Well, I write for the radio show The Case Files of Eddie James.
I'm a private detective.
I am too. Well, part of the time anyway. When I'm not assisting Will, I'm a stunt woman, body double for the movies.
So much creativity and intelligence in one spot. I love being around artistic people. It's one of the reasons I chose my profession. The creators are no longer living, of course, but I almost feel like I get to know them through their art.
I think you do. I believe an artist puts a bit of himself in every one of his works.
I'm a big fan of Eddie James, Miss Maxwell. I never miss an episode. There will be a new season in the fall, I hope.
Thanks. And yes, Eddie James has been contracted for at least 2 more seasons. There's also talk of adapting it for television.
Ooh, I hope so. That's a show I would watch. And I hope they hire you to write it.
Roberta, please, both of you. And thanks, I hope so too.
Miss Ruby, your face is very familiar to me. Were you in an Italian film called La Rapina? It came out a couple of years ago.
I was, as the femme fatale stunt double. How on earth did you know? That's an obscure one. I didn't even think it was released in the States.
I don't know if it was. Oliver had to go to Rome for a convention and I tagged along. I was at Loose Ends one afternoon and I wanted to work on my Italian, so I decided to go to the movies. There's one scene where the female character, who was a safecracker for the rest of you, is in a shootout with the police. I couldn't help but notice she was suddenly about 4 inches taller and had the best grin I've ever seen on a woman. I just saw that grin right now, on you.
What an eye! That was me, all right. The director told the producers I was too obvious in that scene, but, well, they had such a tiny budget that they couldn't afford to reshoot it.
Bet it turned the movie into a farce and got you a lot more work.
You are right about both.
I could listen to you people for hours. Is the life of a detective as exciting, Will, or is that only in stories?
It's not quite as exciting as the world of Eddie James, but I've had a few interesting moments.
Look, everyone, the eclipse has started. It'll take a while to go full. And Will, why don't you tell our new friends about the case that started as arson in your apartment building while we watch?
That won't take any arm twisting. My brother is as hammy as his sandwiches.
Hey, I resemble that remark. Well, it was a pretty interesting case. It wasn't really arson. It was a warning. Roberta and I were headed to my place to play Scrabble, and then one... That was a fun night. The eclipse was a true spectacle. The moon turned a really creepy orange red. Oliver and Marshall hung on to my every word as I related both the arson case and an older case from when I lived on the East Coast, one that involved toy trains and a very odd woman. Nice guys. I didn't expect to see them again after that night, though. It was just one of those chance meetings. Imagine my surprise when Oliver walked into my office a few days later.
That was Mrs. Cleninger, Willie. She still wants you to take her missing dog case.
Never in a million years. For one thing, she wants to pay us in coupons for Angel's Diner, that awful place down in La Brea. For another, I'm positive that dog is hiding from her under the sofa. The maid told me the food bowl is emptied every day.
Good. I'd rather not hear that shrill voice again. Hello. You're Oliver from the lunar eclipse night, aren't you?
Good memory, Harry. Yes, that's me. I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
No, not at all. Please, have a seat. Oh, what can we do for you?
Oh, it's not for me, really. It's for Marshall. I don't even know if you can help, as he insists nothing is wrong, but I thought maybe you could offer me some advice.
You obviously think something is wrong. Why don't you start at the beginning?
I actually don't know where it began, Will. I just noticed that Marshall has been very nervous, on edge the past few days. We share a home in the West Hollywood area, so I have occasion to see him more often than most people see friends.
And of course, you asked him what was wrong, and of course, he said, "Nothing, leave him alone."
That is almost exactly word for word what happened. I'm afraid if I press any further, he'll explode. I'm also afraid he's in some kind of danger. I want to help, but I can't if he refuses to admit anything. Is there anything I can do?
Other than follow him and search his things? Not much. You really don't want to do those.
If I hired you to find out, what would you do?
Follow him and search his things. Before we do that, though, why don't we assess the situation first? Do you have any plans this evening?
No.
Good. Tell Marshall you ran into one of us and invited us to dinner. Include Roberta. If something's up, it'll come out in one form or another tonight, even with us there.
Brilliant. How much would I owe you for such an appointment?
My usual fee is $100 a day, plus expenses. For tonight, if you feed us something better than meatloaf, I'll call us even.
I think I can come up with something better than meatloaf. Is 7 all right with you? We both get up fairly early.
Yeah, 7's fine. See you tonight.
Overreacting or possibly legitimate worry?
I don't know for sure, obviously, but I'm leaning towards legitimate. Oliver doesn't hit me as the melodramatic type.
Agreed. I wonder what's eating Marshall then.
Well, maybe we'll find out as we're doing our own eating.
I'm still amazed that you and Oliver ran into each other, Will. In a city this big, what are the odds of that?
Oh, I'd say close to even. Cases have taken me to every section of our little hamlet. A couple of weeks ago, I was investigating a case in Chinatown. And last week, it was Sherman Oaks, Venice, and the Mid-Wilshire area.
You're off by a week. Last week was Calabasas. Those 3 were the week before.
You really do get around. I'm afraid I don't see much more than my workshop, the museums, and the lunch counter over by the May Company.
Do you have a specific neighborhood for your real estate work, Marshall?
Oh, the area north of the Miracle Mile and south of the Fairfax district? Oliver, this roast chicken is really good.
Thanks, but I can't take real credit. All I did was pick it up from Greenblatt's. I'm about as handy in the kitchen as a florist in a submarine.
I thought it tasted familiar. I used to get this on the way home all the time. I mostly go to Sadie's now.
The diner that specializes in Hawaiian food. Oh, I've only been once, but I loved it that one time.
Have you been, Marshall? It's a great place for business lunches.
Me? No, I don't think so. Why would you think I take business lunches?
Well, I mean, isn't it normal for real estate agents to wine and dine their clients, or at least lunch them?
No, I mean, occasionally, but it's not. I don't. What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't either.
Maybe it was the wind or people walking by.
I bet Mr. Cosgrove is watering his roses. Our next-door neighbor is obsessed with his roses. He's got at least 10 varieties in his garden.
Oh, yes. That must have been it.
See, I've heard roses, or a well-kept garden anyway, add a lot of value to a home. Is that true, Marshall?
Huh? Oh, yes. A good garden is always preferred.
I saw a great garden the other day. I was driving through that nice little neighborhood just north of Wilshire, the one with the big houses set on big lawns. That's your territory, Marshall, I believe. Anyway, this one house in particular made me linger at a stop sign. I bet you know the one, Marshall. It has a great garden with a border of lilies at the sidewalk and a fountain with a cherub. I couldn't help but think, gee, if ever I decided to buy a house, I'd want that one. I think it had a for sale sign up front, too. Oh, maybe I should look into it.
What? No! I mean, you don't want that one. It needs so much work. It really isn't worth the asking price. Excuse me, please.
Oliver, you weren't imagining things.
Oh, I was afraid of that. What do you think is the problem?
It could be a couple of things. It could be a falling out with a neurotic client, and he's afraid the client is stalking him. That would explain why he's jumping at every sound made.
What's another possibility?
The house I mentioned wasn't a random choice. You must have seen it, Harriet. It's a couple of blocks from Flames. It intrigues me because it's been empty for a while. Why? That's a really nice neighborhood. If it really needs that much work, something I think unlikely, someone looking to climb the social ladder on a budget would have snatched it up and already. Maybe the real reason it hasn't sold is a dirty secret. That would make me jumpy, too.
Marshall would never do anything criminal. I'd stake my life on that.
I see where you're going with this, Will. Marshall may not have done anything illegal, but maybe someone involved with that house has. Marshall discovered it, and now he's worried that either he'll be implicated or the someone will find out he knows.
You drove the train into the right station. I'll make a detective out of you yet. There's also a chance that the other person does know Marshall knows.
I don't like any of those possibilities. What could we do about any of them?
Yeah, plenty. Property titles are public information for starters. A quick trip to City Hall will get me the name of the homeowner, and unless the possessor of that name is squeaky clean or a hermit, I'll be able to dig up that information about them without too much trouble.
I have an idea, Will. What if Flame makes an appointment to see the house? She might be able to find out a thing or two.
That isn't an idea. It's a great idea. Good job. Who can say no to Flame? Flame is a friend of ours, Oliver. She owns the Aloha Club. I'd trust her faster than I'd trust most cops. So, you asked a question, Mr. Ward. We just gave you a bunch of answers. Are we hired?
Yes, you're hired. I'm convinced that if anyone can figure this out, it's the partners of Ruby and Ruby.
Ruby and operatives MacDowd and Maxwell. An unbeatable team. Was it really going to be that easy to solve the case? Of course not. I knew that even before I knew what the case was. Even the simplest case has its share of monkey wrenches. Our first monkey wrench, the house was owned by a real estate development corporation. I hunted them down and spoke with one of the partners. He told me they had acquired it from the bank, which had taken it over. Why? The owner had been shot and killed in the house. That was a big reason why I hadn't sold. It seems that nobody wanted to live in a murder scene. I was convinced that wasn't the only reason, though, not after Marshall's odd reaction. Knowing who was killed might be helpful, so I called the man who would know, my brother, Lieutenant George Ruby, of Homicide.
Homicide, Lieutenant Ruby speaking.
Correct.
Oh, good. Does that mean I get a prize?
You sure do. You get the privilege and honor of assisting me with a case.
Oh, lucky me. How about I take the consolation prize instead? Another night of 2 colicky babies.
I don't know what that means, but I have a feeling it has something to do with not getting any sleep.
Now you get the prize. Dory's at the doctor with them now, but there probably isn't a lot he can do. They'll grow out of it soon. I hope. So, what do you need?
The name of a murder victim. A guy was shot in his home about a few months ago. I don't know the exact date, but I do know the address. 489 South Marvel.
489 South Marvel. It's right near Flames, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Do you remember the case?
Not off the top of my head, but it shouldn't be too hard to dig up. What are you working on?
I'm not sure yet. The real estate agent for that property is jumping at the sight of his own shadow. A concerned friend hired us to find out why. That's pretty much all I know so far. The agent didn't tell me about the murder. I found that out from the corporation that owns the house.
Interesting. Wallace, I need a file. Don't know the Vic's name. Happened earlier this year on Marvel Street in the Miracle Mile. No, I don't expect you to remember the name. Call R&I. There are days when I wish you were still on the force, including every day I have to deal with that knucklehead.
It would only take half a day of me driving you nuts to hire him back.
I hate it when you're right. Oh, he's back. Well, what'd you get, Wallace? Let me see that. Yeah, victim was a man named Alan Manfred. He was found with a bullet in his head in his living room in April. He owned an import-export company called the Tradewinds Company. Oh, well, this is interesting.
What?
Tradewinds Company was investigated for possible smuggling just before he was killed. Nothing was found, though.
That doesn't mean he was innocent. Any specifics on the Tradewinds Company itself? Any partners, for instance?
Nah, sorry. And his killer is still at large.
Nah, well, thanks for any info you have. It helps. I'll have to look Tradewinds up later. Harriet should be here with Flame any minute.
Flame? What does she have to do with this?
She's going to be our operative and do a little undercover house shopping. The real estate agent has already met Harry, Roberta, and me.
Oh, boy. Can't wait to hear where this goes.
Yeah, me either. Later.
Hi, Willie.
There you are. Wow. Wow, Flame, you rival all of Hollywood's leading ladies on a normal basis, but you're putting them to shame in that suit.
Thanks. I figured if I had to play a part, I'd dress for it. Now to call this guy and see if I do have to perform.
Use my phone, Flame. Over here.
Buena Vista Real Estate, please. Mr. Nelson, please. Thank you. Mr. Nelson, Miss Harrison. I would like to see the house at 489 South Marvel. According to the sign in front, you're the agent for that property. Yes, I am sure that's the property I'm interested in. I've toured the neighborhood extensively. My heart is set on that one, and nothing could talk me out of it. All houses need work, Mr. Nelson. Perhaps I should talk to another agent, or possibly your manager. I'm sure they're interested in selling available homes. That's better. It's almost noon now. I'll be there by 12:45. I expect you to be waiting for me.
He didn't want to show you the house, I take it.
No, he didn't. He actually seemed frightened at the idea. I hope he doesn't have good reason to be.
Well, that's what we need to find out. Don't worry, Harry and I will be watching the whole thing. Who drove?
I did, in case I needed to make a show.
That's one of my favorite things about you. You're as brilliant as you are beautiful. Harry and I will head out now and find an advantageous hiding place. You follow us in about 5 minutes. If Marshall hasn't shown up yet, we'll let you know where we are. You know what to do, I'm sure.
Ask a million questions under the guise of house hunting in the hopes he reveals why he's afraid of his own shadow.
Oh, number 2 on the list of why I love you. Your ability to say it like it is.
I don't have time to pussyfoot or the patience. Let's go.
This really is a great house. If I was in the market, I think I'd be able to forget about the history.
I thought you would be looking for a place by now. You've been subletting Frankie's place since she left for England. Doesn't that lease expire soon?
In a month. I've been waiting for Frances to decide if she wants to renew. She finally let me know just this morning.
Oh. And what did my basically ex-fiancée say? She hasn't told me a thing.
She said not to renew, but asked that I put her things in storage because she was sure she'd need them again someday. She doesn't think of herself as an ex, Willie. She said nothing's changed on her end.
No comment. Subject closed. That doesn't give you much time to find new digs.
Willie, I already have a new place, actually. I moved a couple of weeks ago. I go by the apartment a couple of times a week to pick up mail and make sure no one's broken in. Hey, look. There's a nice big shrub under the living room window. We could have a party in there and nobody would notice.
Yeah, good. I didn't know you moved. What's your new address?
501 South Muirfield.
501 South Muirfield? That's Flames. What?
Did I just hear my name?
Yeah, you did. Harry's just giving me your new address and I realized it was yours.
You're right, it is. I decided a while ago I wanted a housemate. It's too big a place for just one person. When Harry mentioned that she needed to move, I knew I had the perfect candidate. Shouldn't you two be hiding?
Yeah. Maybe you should too. Go back and sit in your car until he gets here.
Fine with me. I don't like standing in the sun any longer than I have to. I might turn into a pile of ashes or something. Creature of the night, you know.
Vampires don't have hearts of gold. Here comes the car. Run! That's not Marshall. It's a woman. Another interested party.
Maybe. I wouldn't want her for a neighbor, though. Whew, that is one mean face. On the other hand, I do want her as a suspect. Why does she have a key to this place? Let's see if we can get a peek without being spotted.
Just be careful. Marshall's just walking up, so there are two who could catch us. What are you doing, you idiot?
The window was already open a crack. I just opened it a little wider. Now, shh! I want to hear what's going on.
What are you doing here?
I have an appointment to show the house. What are you doing here, Miss Panettone?
Taking another look around. I thought I told you that I was interested, not to show this house to anyone else.
You haven't filled out any paperwork or even made a solid offer. My boss won't let me put a hold on a property without those. If someone requests an appointment to see it, I'm required to honor it. I told you that.
And I'm required to hurt you if you don't do what I tell you. When this guy comes, you get rid of him as fast as you can. Nobody's getting this house but me, understood? You'll get your paperwork when I feel like giving it to you. What was that?
It must be my client.
I'll go out the back so they don't see me. Remember what I said, Mr. Nelson. I'm watching you. I know where you live, don't forget that, and I'll get you and your whole family if you cross me. I'm not someone you want to cross.
Sneak around the other side, Harry. See if you can spot that woman's car.
Miss, Harrison?
That's me, Mr. Nelson. Thank you for being prompt.
You're welcome. I'm afraid this is going to be a waste of time. There is another interested party.
Have they made a serious offer?
Well, no. But,
Then it isn't a waste of time. And you don't need to worry about the other part that's making you uncomfortable. I already know about it.
The other part?
The murder. I did some research before I called, Mr. Nelson. Someone dying in here doesn't faze me. We all have to go sometime.
I see.
So, besides being a crime scene, What is wrong with this house?
So many things. This fireplace, for instance. The chimney has to be replaced. The smoke backs up into the room.
Sounds like a stuck damper to me. It is a stuck damper.
Maybe it's the fireplace in the master bedroom that's the issue then. I know one of them is bad. That's nothing compared to the roof, though, which will need to be replaced. And it still has a coal furnace. That will have to be upgraded, of course. I think the wiring needs to be replaced as well, and...
That other prospective buyer must want this house really bad.
Excuse me?
I've bought other homes in my life. Not once did an agent try to talk me out of buying, even if he had 10 bids on the property.
Well, she does want it, but she hasn't... I mean, there's nothing.
There's nothing but a lot of threatening, enough to scare you into complying. Any idea why she wants it so bad?
I really shouldn't say. That's not going to fly, not with you, I can tell. Very well. Here is the truth. I have no idea why she wants it. All I know is this house was off the market from the time of the murder until a company purchased it from the bank. It was all boarded up and fenced off. The company came in, took the boards and fence away and cleaned it up a little. They left the contents with the thought it would look better furnished. When they decided it was presentable, they contracted my agency to show it. Neither my boss nor myself thought it would ever get any interest between its condition and its history. However, the instant we listed it, she, the other party, called and insisted on seeing it. And I mean see it. I had to show her every last inch of the place, from pantry to attic and the pool house as well. She said not to show it to anyone or else. Since then, she has called me several times, and I swear I've seen her following me. I believe her threats are real, which is why I was so hesitant to keep this appointment. I caught her in here just before you came. I have no idea how she got in. When she asked what I was doing here, she threatened me. Again. Please, don't mention any of this to anyone. I wouldn't want anyone else to be in danger. I worry for your safety as it is. If she saw you come in, she might...
If she ever tried anything with me, she'd find out very quickly that I'm an even bigger threat than she, Mr. Nelson.
It's a very brave thing to say, Miss Harrison. But I'm convinced this woman is capable of anything. She said she knows where I live.
I'm capable of a lot myself, including extracting information. The name isn't actually Harrison, it's MacDowd. Flame MacDowd. I own the Aloha Club in Hollywood. I count among my friends most of the police force because I learned a long time ago that thugs will never have your back. I don't have a lot of close friends for a lot of reasons, but there are at least two, and both are private detectives. Will, Harry, time to spill the beans.
Just me for the moment. Harry's spying on the female thug who was here earlier.
Ruby? What are you doing here?
Mostly watching Flame extract information. Nice work, Miss MacDowd.
Thanks. So, any idea of what's really going on here?
I have a glimmer. You have an extensive knowledge of the underworld. Ever hear of a guy named Alan Manfred?
I don't think so. Should I know him?
Well, you couldn't anymore. He's the guy who was shot here. According to George, that's my brother, Marshall. He's a homicide cop. Manfred owned an import-export company.
I have a feeling he wasn't just dealing in knickknacks and rugs.
Now, that's what I'm thinking, and that's what I'll be diving into after we finish here.
Hey guys, she walked around the backyard as if she was looking for something. Then she jumped in her car and drove off. I got the license number. Oh, hi, Marshall.
Harry. I'm very shocked and very confused by the presence of all of you here. What exactly is going on?
Let's just say that someone noticed your distress and wanted to help. As for the exactly part, well, that's what we're going to find out.
But Miss Panettone, she said...
Panettone? She said her name is Panettone?
Yes. Do you know her?
No, but I know Italian. Panettone is a kind of bread.
Well, it has to be a fake name then. Maybe her license plate will reveal her real moniker. The license plate and the contents of this, that is.
What the heck is that? It looks like a miniature camera of some sort.
That's exactly what it is, my dear sister. I just got it. I poked the lens through my boot and ear hole so Panettone, or whoever she is, wouldn't catch it.
So that was the click we heard. Oh, you are clever. All of you. But I still worry about repercussions.
The only repercussions will be on her, not from her. Let's get out of here before she decides to come back. I need to make a few phone calls, including one to my brother to get a patrol car out here. She wants something in here, I'm sure of it, and I want to get it first. Marshall, you should go back to your office and act as if everything is normal.
I don't think that's possible, but I'll try.
Make your calls at my house, Will. It's closer, and I have food.
Ooh, you sure know how to tempt a guy, Flynn, but I also want to develop these pictures.
I have a dark room, too.
Why? No, don't answer that. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. Okay, you talked me into it. Let's go. It takes a village to solve a crime sometimes. I've completed plenty of cases single-handedly, but it's nice to have a hand or 8 on occasion. Harry and I followed Flame to her place. I got the camera film developed. Harry ran the finished photos and the license number down to our brother. While I waited for him, I called Roberta and invited her over at the suggestion of Flame. Roberta came with an armload of reference materials. Without being asked, she came up with the history of the house, including the original floor plans and the available information on the Tradewinds Company. Whew, what a woman. There wasn't much to report on Tradewinds. They were, as suspected, traders in bargain housewares and cheap toys. The company had been wholly owned by Alan Manfred. It was bought by the Apogee Corp., a well-established and respected shipping company, which sold off the contents and turned the building into one of their warehouses. A dead end. I hoped my brother had something interesting. He did. It was interesting enough that he brought it himself. When I found out what he had, I called Marshall and urged him to get Oliver and join us. He didn't waste a minute to ask why.
Hello again, Mr. Nelson. Welcome to Casa MacDowd. It's not for sale, but feel free to appreciate a perfect house.
Thank you. It's truly magnificent.
Thanks. You must be Oliver.
I am. I'm also very confused. Who are you and why are we here?
This is Flame. She's a friend of mine. You're here because I asked Marshall to bring you for your own safety. Hi, Oliver.
Will, so there is something going on.
And how? Come into the living room. There's someone there you both need to meet. And we have news. Marshall Nelson, Oliver Ward. This is my brother, Lieutenant George Ruby of Homicide. George, vice versa. You boys remember Roberta and Harry?
Homicide? Is it really that serious?
Yes, that house has already seen one murder, and it's highly possible these people stopped another from happening.
Sit down, guys. You're safe here.
And have some lemonade.
Thanks. So murder is involved. I knew something bad was going on, but I never suspected murder.
You did? You mean you're the one who hired Will?
I am. Something was eating you alive. I couldn't sit by and watch it happen anymore, even if you wouldn't tell me what it was. I thought if Will could discover the reason, I could help you.
I should be angry that you did that, but I'm not, especially after what happened this afternoon. Did you find out who Miss Panettone really is, Lieutenant?
Thanks to Will's photo and the license plate number Harry got, we did. The real name is Nicole Nasato. I think she's been involved in some major crimes, but so far we haven't been able to pin anything but small stuff on her. There is mention of Alan Manfred in her file, possibly as a boyfriend.
That could explain why she wants the house.
Or something in it. Marshall said that he caught her searching in different areas, and she insisted on seeing every inch of it.
But what could be in the house? All of Mr. Manfred's personal items were removed. Of course, it is the same furniture. I've heard of secret drawers and things, or maybe a hidden wall safe or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking whatever it is, it's in the house itself rather than the furniture. Roberta brought us the floor plans. Let's check those out.
Those are going to need a magnifying glass. I've got one upstairs. Be right back.
Upstairs? You live here too?
Harry and I are roommates.
Same way you and Marshall are.
Really? When did that happen?
Beginning of the month, Puppy decided not to renew her lease.
So, Frances isn't,
She thinks she is. Someday. She asked Harry to put her stuff in storage.
Whew, that's,
Her choice. Will has choices too, some of which he's made.
Later, big brother.
You people are fascinating. That was a 10-minute conversation reduced to a few seconds.
I bet you do it with Marshall, too.
Got us there, Oliver. Sometimes it only takes a couple of words.
Use a couple of words now. When you showed the house to Miss Panettone, or Nasato, you said she wanted to see every last inch of it, correct?
Yes.
Did she linger over any area in particular?
Not that I recall. She did say the purchase price had to include the furniture. When I commented that there was a lot that needed to be junked, she got angry and said that she would decide what was valuable.
That could mean she's looking for something in the furniture after all, or that she has no idea where the treasure is.
Or she just likes the furniture and we're barking up the wrong tree.
You don't believe that any more than I believe you're a crotchety grump.
Oh, I heard that. Gotcha, Jojo. Here's the magnifying glass.
May I? I studied these a little before I brought them over. I thought I saw something on the second floor. I still can't tell. It could be a hidden room. It kind of looks like there are 2 sets of doors.
Could be. Or it could just be a closet. I think the only way we can know for sure is to go to the house and look.
Whoa, hold on. 7 people trooping around that house would be too much, not to mention too dangerous. She could be watching. As Manfred's murderer is still at large and the case open, I'm making this search part of the murder investigation. Marshall, you come because you have the keys. Will and Harry and I will do the investigating. The rest of you, stay here.
Are you sure George isn't a crotchety grump flame?
Positive. That doesn't mean he isn't a whole lot of other things. Think you investigators will be long? I need to get to the club soon.
Nah, I'll come back if we hit a snag.
Thanks. Be careful out there, girl and boys. This Nasato woman sounds like bad news. Don't add to her headlines.
So, where do we start, big brother?
Let's divide and conquer. Harry, start upstairs. Will, you and Marshall take this room, and I'll try what looks to be a study on the floor plan. Stay alert. Just because we didn't see anyone around when we got here doesn't mean it will stay quiet. And by your accounts, Nasato has a key.
Aye, aye, Captain.
This seems an insurmountable task. There's so much to search, even in this room.
Nah, it won't be so bad. Start with the artwork. Check the backs for tears or a lump. I'll check the sofa cushions.
Nothing in these two. How about the vases and things on the mantel?
Oh, good idea. Ooh, car just pulled up. Turn off the light. I'll take a peek. It's Nasato. George, perpetrator alert. Marshall, find a place to hide.
Will, she disappeared. I could see her heading up the walk, then she was gone.
Oh, heck. Maybe she saw us and decided to sneak in the back. Get behind a drape.
Don't move. I've got a nice big gun in my hand. Either one of you moves and I'll put a hole in you. I won't need the house anymore, Mr. Nelson. Know why? Because you're going to find what I'm looking for. Then I'm going to kill you both.
I don't think so, Miss Nasato. LAPD, you're under arrest.
Not so fast, Copper. I've got Nelson now. You take one more step and he gets it. You wouldn't want an innocent civilian's blood on your hands, would you?
No, he wouldn't. Would you, Lieutenant? If I were you, George, I'd stay perfectly still, and I will too.
Smart man. Too bad you weren't smart enough to stay out of this.
Stay out of what exactly? What is so fascinating about this house?
Please, don't insult my intelligence. You've got to know if you're here pulling the sofa apart. If you found anything, you'd better cough it up. You don't, and he gets it.
No, I didn't find anything. Did you, George?
Did I? No, not me. And if you didn't, that means Marshall didn't find anything either.
No, I didn't.
Well, except for that one thing. You forgot about that one, Marshall.
What thing? Tell me.
The drop. On you. Move and you'll get a 38 slug between your ribs.
Or maybe between a couple of vertebrae. I wouldn't mind shooting a woman like you in the back.
Nice job, Harry. Flame, Roberta, Oliver, what are you three doing here?
Helping. I'll take that gun, Miss Nasato. Thanks. Here you are, George.
Thank you. You're under arrest, Nicole Nasato. Let's go.
Oh, don't go yet, Lieutenant. Let me show you what she was looking for first. That's really why we came over.
You know where it is. How?
When I was here earlier pretending to look at the house, Marshall said this fireplace was bad. I thought it was just a stuck damper, so I checked. The damper is stuck. I was thinking about that after you left, and I thought, what better hiding place than somewhere too obvious to be a hiding place? Harry, give me a hand.
It's not stuck anymore. Hey, it looks like there's a little recess up there. A recess with something in it. I'll get it, Flame. You're already dressed for work.
Oh, would you look at that? A metal box just jam-packed with little envelopes full of white powder. Bet it isn't sugar.
Oh, that's where it was. Al was supposed to give it to me. We had a deal. You kept me from finding it, Marshall Nelson. I'm gonna get you for that.
Oh, Oliver! You knocked her out with that antique vase.
That thing? Antique? Huh, you have socks older than that, Marshall. Looks like I have a few things to teach you about antiques.
I think we all have a few things to teach each other.
I feel as if a dump truck loaded with iron has been lifted from my shoulders. I can't thank all of you enough for everything you've done.
The poo-poo platter and a couple of round of Mai Tais are a great start. I hope this case has been a good lesson to all of us. Tell someone when something's wrong. You might end up with more trouble than you can handle.
I second that. And get the police involved. We're paid by your tax dollars to help you. Words to live by, Marshall. So, is she the one who killed Alan Manfred? She is. She confessed on the way to the station. They had been smuggling drugs for a while. Manfred decided he wanted to cut her out of the arrangement. He told her the last shipment he got, the one we found, didn't arrive. She didn't believe him. They argued. She shot him. Police showed up before she could find the stash. She was determined to get it, though, so the instant the house came up for sale, she called Marshall. Lucky for her that we just happened to meet Will and Harry right when we needed them.
Speaking of Will, I've been thinking about what he said earlier. We really do have things we could teach each other. I, for one, would love to learn more about antiquities. And I'm thinking about buying a house, so I could use a few pointers.
I would be delighted to trade real estate secrets for writing tips. That's a hobby I've always wanted to try.
George, you need a hobby. What sounds better, prose or ancient Roman poetry?
Neither. 4 kids under 10 are enough of a hobby for me. Will should start one, though.
Me? I have plenty of hobbies.
Name 2.
Scrabble and eating.
Eating? That's not a hobby for you. That's a full-time job.
This had been another episode of The Adventures of William Ruby, Private Detective, brought to you by Sugar Twinkles Cereal. Sugar Twinkles. They're made with sugar for energy and a fairy dusting of 8 vitamins and minerals to make it twinkly healthy. Grown-ups and kids alike love Sugar Twinkles. Make it a part of your breakfast. Tonight's cast included Lauren Baumbauer, Val Kuhns, Mike Luce, Richard Tatum, Raishel Wasserman, and Keith Wright. Cast member Emeritus, Helen Allemano. Story by Val Kuhns. Sound patterns by Val Kuhns. This has been a Q Footsteps production.
The drama is gone. It is a big telescope and a
Oh my God, baby.
Sugar Twinkles, you can eat them. That's my sister.
Contagious.
She got it from me.